As everybody knows, the show needs an intro. This is that intro. I am Fisher, your host. Chris McCarty called off. My guest canceled on me too. So what the hell do we do? Good morning, Eric J. Stratman. How you doing, Susan and Heather? Also, Eric, I think we left it right last week. If you're still watching, by the way, and the only reason I didn't call you today to book you, because I don't know if you remember what I said, is we're gonna wait until I get a new therapist, the anti-anxiety medication, and then have you back, and we're gonna do a full push and talk about We'll talk about health and all that good stuff. Well, good morning and welcome. Let's start right here. Let me bring in our first sponsor, or sponsor of the first 15 minutes. Thank you so much to Single Source Insurance. Also, for those of you that your insurance is up or it's coming up, give them a call. Give them a call or go to the website, singlesourceins.com, and just let us know. Let us know about your experience, because partnering with these guys and getting to know the owner, Zach, I like them. They're cool. And one of the things that separates them from your Geicos and all of those, it has to do with customer service and the way they treat you. So, it's one thing to save a couple of dollars a month, but in the end, when you need these people and they're not there for you, or it's a real pain in the ass to get things done, it's very frustrating. So call Single Source Insurance. Go to singlesourceins.com. Good morning, Joe and Cheryl. Also, thank you for those of you that are switching over to the Facebook page, the official page of the Wake.Show, which is the Wake.Show. All one word when you're spelling it out. Don't separate the Wake.Show. Spell it all out. The Wake.Show. And that'll take you to the Wake.Show. Thank you so much for the likes and the shares and all that good stuff. We'll get to on this day. I guess a couple of things. I got to start out being honest with you. I'm a little bummed, a little deflated today. I was really pumped for the show. I got in really early today, rearranged the studio. I know I had to rearrange it once Chris called. But and I really can't. I guess I can't really show you guys. I'd have to grab another camera to show you how I reset everything up. But I guess what it was, I was really excited about today's show. We got the Game 7 tonight. I don't have to go out and work and do karaoke, so I can enjoy the game at home with my wife. I was thinking about heading out. And now that I see Jesse here, if some of our friends call and say, "Hey, listen, we're going to be watching the Lightning game," then we're heading over to your house tonight, Jesse. Let your husband know we're coming over if you guys are going to be at home watching the game. I was thinking about going. How many of you guys are going out? Are you going out somewhere? Oh, what's that? That's just me bringing the thunder. All right, I'll stop for right now. It'll probably come back a couple times during the program today. I guess I'm a little bummed because we had a lot, and then I literally just got off the phone with Chris McCarty, who was coming back from a meeting that he and Cord yesterday. Drove 3.5 hours to go meet James Golden, who is the executive producer, the producer of the Rush Limbaugh program, and has been for 25 years, or longer. He and Chris have known each other for a very long time. They're very close. Chris calls him Dad, and so he's very excited about this about Chris and what he's doing with this venture, right? So they had a long meeting. I wanted to talk about that with you guys, to get the ins and outs of that meeting, and I wanted to show off the new studio to Chris. And now it's just me and you. I'm all by myself, so it's going to be your comments and mine. Robert, how you doing? And we got some stuff to talk about today. I want to talk about the Lightning. You see in the post, for those of you at the Wake.Show, a pawn shop sign reads, "We sell AR-15s because we're not dicks." It's a play off of Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick stopped selling them, right? We sell AR-15s because we're not dicks. All right, so the question, would you consider this insensitive and inappropriate or clever marketing? What they're doing is legal. AR-15s are legal at this point, and it's clever marketing. Now, the only other caveat to this story is that they're literally down this, right up the road from a high school in their area. This particular story, and we'll get to the story and the details of it coming up a little bit later in the show. But again, so is that insensitive and inappropriate? Did they cross a line they probably shouldn't have crossed during these times, or you go, no, man, you're looking at this all wrong. You big lefty. That's beautiful, clever marketing, hurts nobody, and people are making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about on the show today. Got a couple of positive stories too, and one we'll definitely end with, and because I found a new website thanks to one of the guys that works here at Bake More Pies. Bake More Pies is the production facility, full online marketing, digital production facility here in Tampa, Florida. And Caleb brought up, what the hell was you just talking about? Damn it, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. See, I needed somebody else in here today. And I don't have the, the something to do this by myself today. But here we go. What the hell did Caleb bring? How do you just lose a thought like that? All right. I even vacuumed. The studio looks great, and nobody's here to see it. I'm still switching cameras. Oh, look at that. What a great shot. The microphone just suspended in air. Oh, man. Look at that shot, too. So solid, except for the light. Reflecting in the television. I'm sorry that I'm just dragging through this kind of stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get to some of the news of the day. We do have a lot to cover as the Bolts hopefully win Game 7 and move on to the Stanley Cup. On this day in 1934, we'll start right here. On this day, the reason that we do on this day is to put things in perspective. So hopefully the news of the day, even though it scares you sometimes, you think the world's coming to an end, you go, it's probably not. Likely not. Likely this will just be a footnote in history at some point. On this day in 1934, police kill the famous outlaws Bonnie and Clyde. How many of you guys know the story of Bonnie and Clyde? You know, it's part of American lore. American history and legend, but how much do we really know? On this day in 1934, notorious criminals Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow are shot to death. What the hell is that? What the hell is ringing? Can you guys hear that? All right, hold on. I'm getting something through Messenger here. No, Siri, I don't need your help. Stop. Let me see if I can... Why the hell is it ringing over there? Hold, please. Cords, I'm coming as fast as I can. How do I answer? All right, I'm going to try Cords back like this. See if it works. I'm sorry about this, guys. Cords was with Chris yesterday on this meeting. Redial. Son of a gun. Come on, we can do this. We can do this, technology. We can do this. I want to kind of get... I know they gave me kind of a quick... I mean, really, it was a text on what had happened, and we were going to fill in the details today. And call, redial, fail. Let's try it again. Contacting, ringing. Uh-oh. I think it might work. There we go.
Can you see us?
Well, you're sideways.
You want us to be straight up and down instead?
Well, no. It's not doing what you think it's doing. There we go. You're going to have to do it that way. Yeah, you're going to have to do it that way. Okay, first of all, be careful. You know better.
I'll sign a disclaimer.
All right. So, Cords, welcome. You and Chris yesterday drove down 3.5 hours to have a meeting and then drove 3.5 hours back. So you were in the car with Chris McCarty for 7 hours yesterday. How much sleep did he get?
We are driving back now. So I was in the car with Chris for about 3.5 hours, and he slept maybe only an hour.
Okay.
But it was immediate. Like, as soon as we took a left to go on 275, he was out. Like, I could have thrown little spitballs in his mouth like a basketball. It was awesome.
So what do you mean you only went down there with him and then stayed down there last night?
We stayed down last night. We stayed at the Marriott in West Palm, and Trey's with us, too. He's over
Trey!
Here. And anyhow, so then Trey and I had a meeting this morning. McCarty flew back this morning. He had an engagement with, he's playing some music for some kids with autism.
Right.
And he said he'll be done with that about noon, so we can connect with him after that. But we had an excellent meeting last night with James and or Bo Snerdley, and can't wait to tell you about it. It's good.
Well, what can you share? Just kind of a little synopsis or like overview that you can share with. Because first of all, how long did you sit down with Snerdley? How long was this meeting?
4 hours.
Oh wow!
4 hours.
Holy smokes!
A little more, but dinner was 2 of it probably. Yeah, dinner was probably 2 of it.
Nice.
But it was a very successful meeting. I think when we first went down there, I felt like maybe he was trying to understand, like, why we were there, what we were doing with Chris, how could we help Chris, that kind of thing. And then by the end of the meeting, I think he really started to understand what we were up to, not just with the Wake.Show, but in terms of being able to generate content for lots of different ways, and also do the targeted advertising. I think he's really starting to, understand, and he said several times that we blew his mind, so it's very encouraging.
Good. What about particular... Oh, I see what happened now. Never mind. What about any particular advice or direction about the Wake.Show in general?
So the constructive criticism he gave us about the Wake.Show is that we need to do something that every other show is not doing.
Okay.
So this day in history, for example, he's like, there's 100 other shows doing that.
Okay.
Like, we need to stretch ourselves. We need to be innovative. We need to offer something new that's better and different than other shows.
All right. Okay.
And so we need to meet about that, and we need to take that advice and make the show something that's worthy of him walking down the hall and recommending us to, all the executives in broadcasting that we want him to.
Yeah, do you know what network are they on? Are they on like Westwood One? Do you know who their deal is with?
Premion? Is that one?
Premiere?
What's the name of the one? Premiere? Yeah, it might have been
something
Premiere.
Like that? Okay. Well, listen, I've been doing this a long time. I know that Chris and I have something unique and special, just fundamentally. And you guys are exactly right. We need to not be afraid to stretch ourselves and bring, I've been doing this for over 25 years. He's been doing what he's been doing for 20 years, and just go all out and see what happens. Leave it up to fate. Leave it up to the gods from there.
Absolutely, man. So anyhow, but very successful meeting. He's going to be in town. We don't have an exact date yet, but we're targeting him sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So very exciting.
All right. Well, Cords, you guys drive safely, and we'll see you when you get back here.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye, Trey.
See you, brother.
See you, man. All
Bye,
right.
Chris.
Bye. And that is Cords Owen. He is my partner in this show. So if you're just catching up, if you weren't here yesterday, we had a conversation, or they had a conversation with Bo Snerdley, for those of you that ever listened to the Rush Limbaugh program. And Snerdley has been his producer since, like 90, 91, something like that. And he and Chris have become very close over the last, I guess, 10 or 15 years. So there you go. He wanted to hear what was going on and give us some advice. So we'll see what happens there. Tim Bryce, how you doing this morning? Nice to see you. Deidre, how are you? And for those of you that haven't made the transition yet, switch on over to the Wake.Show. The Wake.Show. This will be the last week for the Wake.Show being streamed on my personal page. All right. So I guess on this day, by the way, I had a feeling that one of the critiques that would come out of this would be the way that we start the show with On This Day. It is easy. It is an old radio bit that's been done a million times. And if anything, if it were to stick around, okay, so first of all, one of the reasons I did it because it is easy content. And as I was getting the show up and running and Johnny Torres left the show, if you guys remember there in the beginning, I had Johnny Torres here. We weren't doing that back then. It's once he left the show, I'm like, all right, I just need an easy foundation to kind of, as we're moving this thing forward and figuring out exactly what the Wake.Show is going to be. And so on this day, I've already told you the stories why I did it. I loved it as a kid myself. I still do. I love on this day stuff. But if it does stick around, then it can't be done the way that I'm doing it now. And that is, we open up the show, I sit there and just kind of scroll through history.com and see what do they have, and we have a conversation about it. Instead, for instance, I'll if we were to keep this bit, like Cords just said, we're going to have a big meeting, and I think what's going to come out of this is a clearer vision of three people, because this show is, I would say, Cords and I are equal partners in this venture, but he's never done radio or anything like this. His expertise is come in the marketing side of things, online stuff, production, Very intelligent guy. So I think he has a slightly different vision than I do of exactly where this is going to be. And we knew that going from the beginning. We've come closer and closer together. And Chris, I'm sure, has his own vision, too, of what this show should be. So I think what that snurdly conversation is going to do for us is it's going to get us all in the room and go, okay, boom, we're coming off this meeting. We're feeling good about this. Let's lay out formatically exactly how this show should be. And then let's do, some of the things that are going to be more difficult, or I don't say I don't know. That we have to add to the show. And you guys, please leave your opinions. That we have to add to the show, in my opinion, my estimation, is the video element. Molly brought that up when she was in here, Molly Jacobson, and there needs to be more of that. Chris and I have lived very active lives. Now, this is stuff we've been doing forever, so it doesn't register as anything unique to us, but he has a very cool life. The guy's playing, on stages multiple times a week and having fun with the, people all around the Bay Area and at these shows. I'm out all the time doing, stuff too. So one of the things that Snurdly did bring up is that we need to capture that kind of stuff, package it the right way, and include that onto the show. And that man in the street stuff, when we're out, have those questions where you're asking people and getting those awkward responses for me. All those kinds of things definitely need to be added to the show. When I was talking to Chris yesterday, that's one of the things that he emphasized, which Cords backed up, was we need to set ourselves apart. All right, so I've been doing this a long time. I'm proficient at what I do, and Chris has been doing this for what he does for a long time. He is proficient at what he does, and yes, we can sit and have a conversation that's naturally somewhat compelling without adding too many elements, right? But that's only going to get you so far. That's all well and good, but it's only going to get you so far. So we got to take this up a notch, and so now I'm really looking forward to see what kind of ideas are swirling through Chris and Cord's heads when they get back, and as we get ready to join a network here too. We're getting ready to join a network. We're just really trying to figure out the back end stuff right now, the technical stuff, and then we'll get this up and running. Oh, son of a gun. I always do that. All right. Thank you once again to the sponsor for the first 15 minutes, Single Source Insurance. Already 17 minutes into the show. Single Source, thank you so much. Go to Single Source Insurance or SingleSourceINS.com and get a quote today. Let's do a little of this here. Hey, what? Wait, you think we have a cameraman in here? The cameraman's my arm. I reach out and hit the camera and turn it to the side just a little bit here. All right, so let's get to some of the others. All right, so I was talking about Bonnie and Clyde. Now after having that conversation with Cords, I feel like I shouldn't do any on this day anymore, and we'll just skip. But it is pretty interesting, the story. And one of the reasons why it's interesting to me is because of how it got romanticized here in American pop culture. And here's a picture of Bonnie and Clyde. And one of the reasons why this got romanticized, even though they're stone cold murderers, they're killers, they're psychopaths, but America loved them. It's because of, I guess, in parts, some of these playful pics that they would release of the couple. Now, she was 16 years old when she first got married. All right. At 19 is when she met Clyde Barrow. And she was married to her husband, but her husband was serving time in jail for murder. Shortly after they met, Barrow was imprisoned for robbery. This is the guy. Now, Parker, the woman, Bonnie and Clyde, Bonnie visited him every day and smuggled a gun into the prison to help him escape. But he soon was caught in Ohio, sent back to jail. When Barrow was paroled in 1932, he immediately hooked up with Parker, and the couple began a life of crime together. So they go on and on. They form this little gang. But for whatever reason, among the public, however, Parker and Barrow's reputation as dangerous outlaws was mixed with a romantic view of the couple as Robin Hood-like folk heroes. And I wish Chris was in here because did this have anything to do with them being white? And I don't want to turn everything into a black and white thing and everything. It comes back down to race, but trying to figure out because it seems like here in America, when it comes to our gangs and our murderers, as long as they're white or whitish Italian, then we romanticize them. We put them up on the big screen. We have movie posters. We grow up with movie posters on our walls of Scarface and The Godfather. But you add some color to that skin, And we don't romanticize it. We don't. Well, I guess there is parts of our culture that do. That is the hip hop culture. I guess does romanticize. So I guess there it is. There's the answer right there. Is you have a portion of America that's going to connect with whoever the gangsters are, and possibly romanticize their venture, because even I read that part of the Bonnie and Clyde thing is they were looked at by some as a modern day like Robin Hood, but they weren't taking from the rich and giving to the poor. They were murdering people and taking their stuff. So, all right, enough of that. Then we'll move on. On this day in history is being shelved right now. It's being shelved. We'll see what happens. Let's hit a couple of the things that I've got. All right, so let me do this too, because for some reason today it looks like what happened the other day. I am not seeing any comments whatsoever. I'm seeing everybody joining, but no comments. So let me click on some stuff and see if I can make this happen. No, it's just it just happened again today. Hi. Let me see. Hold on a second. Thank you, by the way, for putting up with this. Hi. Anyone there? And I want to see if my own comments pops up. Okay, so my comment pops up there. Maybe you guys aren't commenting. Maybe it's just one of those. I'm so slow and boring right out of the box today. I have nothing to chime in with. The hell is this? You can wait to become responsive or exit this page. Page unresponsive. Exit page. What is happening? I was going to start off with some positive. Again, I wish Chris was here today. He and I were talking a lot about the royal family and the royal wedding and whatnot, and how much it was. I was getting worked up over this thing. We don't need to go down that path again. But that anger, that ire has come down some after that conversation last week, and watching a little bit this weekend and trying to put things into a little bit of a different perspective. Because the reason I get so angry is I attach that royal wedding and the royal stuff, our obsession with it, with one of the things that's wrong with America, not right. And you go, oh no, it's the striving for excellence and da da da. F you. It is not. It is perpetuating some stupid BS myth about prince and princesses and whatever they have. Sorry, see what's happening. See what's happening. I don't even want to go down this path. I don't even know if I want to even believe that anymore. Because there are positive things that are coming out of this as well. And one of the neat little things, the stories that I found. What now? Hold, please. I'm sorry, guys. My bad. So now I can't answer. I don't know what's happening, but I can't answer it. All right. Sorry about that. That's what the hell. Let's try it again. Hey, man, there's something off about me today. I don't know. I don't quite know what it is yet. Something's not right. Yeah, I cannot see any comments today either. So good. Awesome. So you know how Chris and I look at stuff like there's the universe, whatever, right? So my guest cancels on me due to anxiety, by the way, which we'll talk about. Chris lets me know at the last second that he's doing a thing with kids. Listen, by the way, he's doing things for autistic kids, so it's all good. And I was like, all right, okay, so I don't have a guest today. I'm not going to have Chris today. It's all right. You're a pro. You've done this a million times. And no, you know what? I kind of like that back and forth between us on the message board and me. So, but nothing's popping up. Not one comment is popping up today for some reason, except for mine. So, what's the universe trying to tell me? I'm all alone. Let's talk about anxiety real quick. I'm doing pretty good today. I'm all right. I feel pretty good. But I just want to let everybody know that if, my guest today is an influencer here in the Bay Area. I'm not going to share anybody's medical business. And, but has not been able to sleep recently, has had some anxiety attacks that feel like heart attacks, and just couldn't make it in, right? And I said, don't you worry, man, or woman. I relate. I've been there before. I've laid there before and picturing that I was going to die, that this is it. My heart's about to explode. And I'm thinking about my funeral and the service and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It ends up being a panic. I don't know the difference between panic or anxiety. And so it's no problem at all. But it's interesting when you hang up the phone because this person, like so many other people I know, very successful, a lot of things going on, contributes a lot to the community, does a lot, this and this and this and this. And on the outside, looking in, you would think they had it all together. You would admire this person. You'd want to be more like this person in so many different ways. And then you find out that when this person lays down at night, or at least recently, their heart is beating out of their chest. They're sweating all night long and not sure what's going on. And I bring that up because there's a lot of people like that out there, a lot of people like us out there. And, you know, in a time when people are losing their shit and either taking it out, you know, either projecting that on the community around them and hurting the people around them, or just hurting themselves, it is, it's something that we're dealing with right now. And so for those of you that are stressed out, you feel like you're being stretched to the limits trying to make everything happen, just know there's everybody, not everybody. A lot of people are with you, okay? A lot of us are in the same boat. So just let that help you. And in those moments when you're laying there and your heart's beating out of your chest, go, it's okay. Fisher's been there, and so have so many other people. We're going to get through this together. We're going to be all right. I wish I knew what that was, and I wish I knew how to correct it. All right. Well, then, you know what? I'm just going to hit a couple of stories then. Since I can't see any comments today for whatever reason, I can see people joining, and not one, which is what happened to us like once last week. The same thing happened, and as soon as we like shut the show down and open things up, we say, oh, wait, let me go to my phone. You know, I guess you know what we're witnessing, how desperate I am to have some interaction today. So let's see if I were to go to open it up on my phone. Let's see here. The Wake not show. Okay, so that's me. Yeah. Okay, so there's comments here. I just can't see them. How desperate I am to have some interaction today. Hello, test, and laughy faces. Well, I guess I just won't be able to see them. All right, here we go. A couple of things here. This is about the stories about a female pilot. Even in 2018, women still face discrimination and unfairness simply because they're a woman. And this has to do with people not feeling uncomfortable or feeling uncomfortable in certain situations if they don't have the people they want. For those of you in the medical field, you'll get this every now and again where you have some. It's easy to talk about disparagingly about people who are fundamentally racist, who are truly racist, because we've put them in the category of evil. But the fact is, they're not evil. People who think they're are not evil. They're ignorant. They're misguided. So women. So if you're in the medical field, you get this all the time. Somebody goes, well, I don't want a Hispanic nurse, or I don't want a black doctor, or I don't want a female doctor, blah, 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 blah. And it's interesting to me that in the medical field, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, for those of you not in the medical field, that you still have to treat those people. You still have to not only treat them, but treat them, the hospital policy, just treat them with respect. You know, you don't go, hey, listen, quit being a racist jerk. Here's, Dr. So-and-so, and she is one of the finest doctors we have, so shut the F up and get treated or get the F out. Because, why? Because the Hippocratic Oath comes before those social issues. So you're taking care of the patient. So here we go. And it happens in these male-dominated fields as well. Pilots, female pilots get this all the time, where they just get little jokes, little quips thrown at them that they have to just go, hey, yes, sir. Yeah, a woman can drive a plane. Oh, aren't you so adorable, sir? So even in 2018, women still face discrimination and unfairness simply because they are women. And that prejudice is only tenfold for females working in male-dominated fields. One British pilot has decided to call out the sexism she faced while flying in a series of tweets that has since gone viral. On Saturday, Charlotte Knowlson, a pilot for EasyJet, admitted that she was baffled when two male passengers made incredibly sexist comments to her, taking to Twitter to share her frustration. Before we move on with the story about sexism, I'd just like to point out how cute she is. That was a sexist comment, by the way, I think. Wait, I don't know anymore. So, she tweeted, baffled as why two male passengers felt that these comments were necessary. Quote, I won't make any jokes about female drivers then, unquote. And quote, are you the pilot? If I'd known that, I would not have gotten on, unquote. And she goes on to say, fact is, I can fly a $107 million jet. You can't. In addition, an additional tweet, she further detailed her disapproval over the rude comments, which she admitted originally shrugging off in an attempt to be professional. She said, being used to this kind of humor, my reaction, of course, was to be professional, laugh, and ask them if they were enjoying their flight. So that's one part of this. This is so normal. She's so used to this. Her and so many other female pilots do the same thing. Oh, yeah, isn't that funny? I'm just an adorable little girl who can barely get into the cockpit. Enjoy your flight, prick. So Nora, that's what they do. Yeah, yeah. Enjoy. Are you enjoying your flight? You having a good time? Okay, good for you. So this is this is her saying, all right, I'm done. No more of that. I shouldn't have to. This is 2018. I shouldn't have to put up with those stupid, ignorant jokes anymore. She goes, it wasn't until later when a cabin crew member expressed her anger at the comment that it made me think, why is this normal? It is the attitude that puts women off and another barrier stopping them from going into male-dominated careers. It shouldn't even be a thing. I am a pilot. He is a pilot. See, there is no difference. She also added that she didn't reach this point in her career by listening to these types of misogynistic comments, which saddened her. She said, I didn't get where I am today by listening to these kinds of comments. I'm not offended. I'm not disheartened. I'm saddened by the fact that this is the attitude some still have and think it is okay to still make these comments to women in public today. That is mind-blowing. Now, one person tweeted back that there's a chance that these guys were trying to flirt. And it's just awkward flirting, and so this is what they were trying to flirt. One person says, some men need to step off and deal. If you don't think someone is talking about you, then they aren't talking about you, and your oar in the water is unnecessary. I've read this tweet. This is, I think, my seventh time. I still don't know what it means. Some men need to step off and deal. If you don't think someone is talking about you, then they aren't talking about you, and your oar in the water is unnecessary. So we'll just move on. Another person tweeted, being able to laugh it off and remain professional, exactly the reaction they needed. Showing them you were unfazed by their jokes is perfect. Truthfully, they likely meant nothing and were trying to flirt away their feelings of inferiority, but you did perfectly. Another person posted support saying, my wife's a pilot. Every time she flies, she gets a well done, dear, or something similar from holiday makers. Holiday makers, to those of us on this side of the pond, are vacation goers. And more people shared their disdain for the rude remarks, and one tweet that said, put all my money in the fact he didn't care about the situation 10 minutes later. And another said, I would be honored to fly with you. So 2018... But I will say this, too. I do believe this stuff is getting fewer and farther between. You know, I know these jokes are still out there. These men are still out there, but they're going to die off. Sorry. They're dying off. I shouldn't say that. That way of life, the way of approaching things, that women are inferior, and so it's cute to make jokes about their inferiority, that is falling away, I think, anyway. Who knows? Maybe it's just a phase, and we'll be back to being misogynistic jerks before you know it. As long as civilization keeps progressing, as long as we keep moving forward, then I think this falls by the wayside. If all of a sudden we break out in wars again, there's calamity, civilization's on the brink, then we'll go back to whatever the hell whatever that is, whatever that was. Next up, this was the positive story that I was trying to get to coming out of the royal wedding, to see a story about how Harry and Meghan donated the leftovers to cheer up hospice patients, which has got to be a cool thing. Hospice, that's end of life. That's end of life care. You're not in hospice expecting to get better. So to get, when it said leftovers, I don't know if food ended up their way because I didn't see that in the story. It was all the floral arrangements that ended up at the hospice. How cool is that? You're sitting there in England. You're, this woman here, looks like she's somewhere between 100 and 200 years old. And you probably watched the royal wedding yourself. And next thing you know, you're getting the bouquets. You're getting the flowers that were at the wedding. Now, Meghan Markle's bouquet, I guess by tradition that was started by the Queen, her bouquet went to a tomb. It was a memorial. The grave is a memorial to soldiers who fought and died during World War I and other military conflicts. This is a tradition which began with Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, at her marriage to King George VI, in memory of her brother Fergus, who was killed in 1915 at the Battle of Loos during the First World War. Here's another thing. You guys know this, but I wasn't following. So I guess she's not Princess so-and-so. Or is she? Do they have a bunch of different names? She's the Duchess of Sussex. Or is she also Princess so-and-so as well? Or is that, I don't know. I don't even care. I can't even believe I asked you guys that question. All right, we'll hit a couple of other things here before we get out. Judge orders, I think you guys probably already saw this story. This one I saw yesterday, but didn't really want to talk about it. And then, for some reason, felt compelled. Judge orders 30-year-old son to move out after parents file a lawsuit. There's a part of me that wants to meet this guy to have a conversation just to kind of figure out, to learn the personality of a person that would do something like this. But I have a feeling I don't want to meet this person. I have a feeling that I would just be very frustrated and angry at his stark narcissism / Machiavellian sociopathy. What kind of person takes their parents to court because they're trying to kick him out of the house? He's an adult. He's 30 years old and still living with his parents. And he has been trying to stay there, saying, you can't kick me out. Well, now his thing is, you can't kick me out so quickly because I'm family. You have to give me an appropriate amount of time. And he wants 6 months before he moves out. So in a real life case, did you ever see the movie Failure to Launch? By the way, they're making a parallel to that movie. An upstate New York judge Tuesday ordered a 30-year-old man to move out of his parents' house after they went to court to have him ejected. Michael Rotundo told the judge he knows his parents want him out of the split-level ranch they share, but he argued that as a family member, he's entitled to 6 more months' time. The state Supreme Court rejected that as outrageous. He said he would appeal. Now, the parents brought the court case after several eviction letters offering money and other help that were ignored. Like, for instance, here's one. Michael, here's $1,000, $1,100 from us to you so you can find a place to stay. A February 18th letter starts. It goes on to suggest he sell his stereo, some tools, and any weapons he may have to gain money in space. I have a feeling this is the kind of guy that should not have any weapons. It's signed by the parents. With reporters watching in court, this guy sparred with Greenwood for 30 minutes, refusing the judge's request he talk directly to his parents. So this guy's in court. The parents are trying to kick him out of the house. He's 30 effing years old. And the judge is saying, hey, I want you to look over and talk directly to your parents. And this effing... Why am I getting worked up over this POS? There's no reason. There's a lot of other things in the world to get worked up over than this idiot. So... All right, so we'll move on there. We'll move on. How about that? There's no reason. This is the question coming from the body here of the Wake.Show today. And that is, a pawn shop sign reads, we sell AR-15s because we're not dicks. It's a play off Dick's Sporting Goods, not selling weapons or selling these weapons anymore. So they go, we sell AR-15s because we're not dicks is the sign. Well, let me just go ahead and pull it up for you here so you can see it in context. They even grab, it looks like, the logo or something that looks like the logo of Dick's Sporting Goods. The only, like I said earlier, the only other caveat here that you need to know to form an opinion, I think, is that this store is right up the street from North Myrtle Beach High School. So let me pull that. You see how the proximity there? They're on the same. It looks like they're just within a minute of each other, if that. But so this is a sign that kids will see going to school every single day as well. So what do you think? Clever marketing? No big deal? Made you chuckle a little bit? Well done? Or do you have to have, when you're a business owner like that, do you need to have your finger on the pulse of what's happening in your community? You're right up the road from a high school. There was just a high school shooting and a mass killing, another one this past week. And you know that the AR-15 is one of those hot buttons right now. So is it inappropriate and insensitive, and the business owner should know better? Or, buddy, it's clever, it's funny, it's not hurting anybody, and it's just anti-gun people making a big deal out of nothing. I'd read your comments, but none of them were coming through. If there are any comments, I don't even know if anybody's watching today. What do I think? I need to have an opinion? All right, let me start. Can it be both? It's clever. All right, it's funny. If I were a pawn shop and sold AR-15s, I wish I would have thought of that first. However, that sign went up a couple of days before the Santa Fe shooting. The sign would have come down the day of the Santa Fe shooting if I were the owner of the store. So I guess that's my opinion. That's where I am on that. It is clever, but considering the times, it probably should have come down. Did you guys see the story about, this is coming out of the TampaBay.com, about Scott Brantley, ex-Buck, battling Alzheimer's, is claim denied by the NFL. Former Gators and Bucks linebacker Scott Brantley, also once a popular sports radio host in Tampa, is battling Alzheimer's. It's horrible. I'm sorry. Scott is somebody that I listened to it's been a while. I guess it's been a while since he's been on the radio too, but somebody I used to listen to quite a bit. Also, is battling Alzheimer's disease and has been rejected from the NFL's concussion settlement, according to tonight's episode of HBO's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Brantley, 60, played for the Bucs from 80 to 87, spent years in sports radio in the market. His wife, Mary, told HBO that Brantley was diagnosed with dementia in 2012 and Alzheimer's, but like many players, has been denied in the NFL's settlement. Man. Quote, if they were in front of me, I'd say you're a liar because this is a legitimate claim, Mary Brantley said in response to the NFL saying no legitimate claims have been rejected. And I'm sure there are many other people who have been denied. So the NFL is denying this as an illegitimate claim. According to the show, Brantley needs a walker to move around and cannot do most normal activities by himself, needing his wife's assistance. Asked on camera how old he is, Brantley said 50, needing to be corrected. His wife said he has hallucinations, hears imaginary sounds, and is unable to work to help pay expensive medical bills. This is so sad. By the way, the episode airs tonight, 10 p.m. So Tampa Bay, and they add at the end of, this is interesting. So they add at the end of the story a picture of kids. Future of football, flag versus tackle, the concussion battleground for children. I know that you've probably heard me say this before, but they change, because when people start talking about we're getting nervous that our NFL football is going to change, that they're not going to hit as hard, they're taking all the fun out of the game, and this and this and this and this and this, and where's the game going to go? Well, I've always said, watch. It's not going to be the NFL that makes changes, because there are billionaires, people that are worth tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, billionaires, and I don't think they give a shit. They're going, listen, who cares? What else are you gonna? What else are you gonna do? So you can either not play football and not be able to provide for your family, like you would never be able to do otherwise, or you can go back to where you came from and and duke it out there. So, and by the way, there's even been professional football players, and I can't remember his name now. It was an offensive lineman somewhere, or defense, I can't remember, but he said that he is not that concerned. Well, he's concerned with the concussion thing, but he's not, because he basically said, even if these concussions lead to Alzheimer's or early death or whatever, that's fine. Because football's allowed me to provide for my family like I would have never been able to provide for my family before. So the way he looks at it, obviously he's kind of that old school guy, is the man is the provider. And that's all he is. And so that's the way he looks at it. He goes, I was able to provide for my family. I was blessed with a certain talent. Yeah, ended up with some concussions. It might cost me a little bit later on in life, but my kids had meals on the table every single day. They've got the best of this, the finest of that. They're going to the great schools. They're going to get the college paid for, all that good stuff. But I always said, or not since this discussion started, that what's going to happen is going to happen at the amateur level. So somewhere along the way, some star kid, or it's going to have to be that. It's going to have to be some kid that was coming out of Pop Warner or one of these football leagues, high school, something like that, had all the promise in the world. Next thing you know, is just a mangled mess. Well, maybe not, because that happens all the time, and we don't even hear about it. There's a special club in Oregon, a special club in Texas, and the club is comprised solely of, I believe it's high school players, or maybe it's kids, or they were once kids, who are paralyzed, crippled, because of playing football at a young age. And so they get to come together and have some camaraderie. But when was the last time you heard one of those stories? Read one of those stories? No, you don't hear them that often. They're in the local town. The stories end up in that local town. And it's sad for the community, and they all rally around to say, do what they can. But it hasn't changed much. So, with the future of football, I believe you're going to see sometime in the next couple of years something that happens that changes things. So at the Pop Warner level, amateur level, high school, I don't know if it's high school. High school will probably be down the road a little bit. But who knows? That it is going to switch, and it is going to be a non-contact sport. Then that ripple effect will have some consequences in the professional level. But we'll see. Next up. Should the senior have been allowed to wear her military uniform to walk? This Newsom High senior wore her military uniform to graduation, and they did not allow her to walk. Let's go over the details. A Halesbury County High School student who was not allowed to wear her military uniform to graduation missed out on a special tradition this week. Senior Emily Olson started her military career in her junior year at Newsom High School and wanted to wear her uniform to graduation to show her accomplishments. The school denied Olson's request but said she could wear her uniform under her cap and gown despite the school's rule. Olson said she still planned on wearing her military uniform instead of the traditional graduation garment. On Tuesday, May 22nd, Olson's mother said that Olson was not allowed to walk across the stage with her classmates. Olson and her mother plan on picking up her diploma on Wednesday, and she has already completed basic training, plans to continue her military career. This is one of those stories that end up dividing people that shouldn't. Every time you go down this path at a high school, at a school, a public school, we start throwing out things about freedom of expression and speech and all these free. You have no free. You are not an American when you are in high school. When you are in the public school system, your rights come down quite a bit, and the rights of the masses will supersede any personal freedoms when it comes to, because they got to keep order, man. It is a madhouse. So with this, would I like to see this not be an issue at all? And if somebody is in the military, it shouldn't be an issue to wear. I mean, she's already completed basic training. She's very proud of it, and I wouldn't have any problem with it whatsoever. But I know for those of you in the school system, that is Pandora's box. Because soon as somebody goes, you know what, you're right. That is a great cause. Nobody should have a problem with that. You put it out there. Nobody will have a problem with it, except for one or two or three. And then they'll come and go, well, what about this? Oh, what about da-da-da-da? And the schools just go, F this, F it all. Nobody gets anything because we try to do one little nice thing for somebody, and you people F it up every single time because we are so self-centered. We are so selfish and always looking for that place to to get ahead, to find the loophole, get what we want. So with that being said, I completely support the school on this one. You know, they got to do what they got to do. You got a uniform, and if you got a uniform, awesome. Wear it underneath your cap and gown like everybody else. And then after you walk across that stage, take it off as proud as you want. But this is what we have to do coming across that stage. Unfortunately, this is one of those stories that ends up getting picked up, and certain kinds of commentators will use this to stoke a fire and cause even more negativity and divisiveness here in America. Speaking of which, a school resource officer told a gay student he would go to hell. What an idiot. How is it even their place? You're a resource officer. You're there to make sure the kids are safe, and you can't shut your damn mouth. Do you want to hear the story? It's a good one. It's compelling. I think it does a good job of giving us who have never had to deal with stuff like this some insight and what it's like to come out or to be you, but to be you is very different than what the community around you expects you to be. The stares and whispers started on the first day of school more than 2 years ago when Liv Funk and Haley Smith, on your screen now, this is coming from the Washington Post, silently declared their relationship in the halls of North Bend High School by holding hands. They knew coming out would be hard in the small coastal Oregon city, but they hadn't expected it to elicit so many frightening reactions from both classmates and adult staffers. The girls wrote about their treatment at the school in a pair of essays for the American Civil Liberties Union of Oregon. Quote, "People would turn their backs to me and fake cough while saying a gay slur," wrote Funk, going, whatever it is that they're coughing. I'm not going to, I will refrain from any slurs at this time. Who was a sophomore in 15 when the harassment started. "If I happened to sit next to a girl, they'd make a big show of moving away. So after her and her girlfriend decided, hey, we don't need to be ashamed of this. We're going to hold hands tomorrow at school. From that point forward, when she would sit down next to another girl in a classroom, that girl would huff and puff and move away. Like, just because you now know her sexuality, you think she's some kind of a predator, some kind of a monster that is just seething to devour all the females around her. No, those are all the males around you in the classroom." Smith, then a junior, said she learned to not care what people thought until it escalated to fearing for their physical safety one day as the pair was leaving campus for lunch. In the school's back parking lot, they saw the principal's son in a car speeding towards them. A privileged little prick speeding towards the couple. In the school's back parking lot, they saw the principal's son speeding towards them in a car. "We thought he was going to hit us. Instead, he drove right up next to us, yelled out a slur, and veered away. It was terrifying." That incident, she said, was a turning point for how she viewed the harassment. "I realize that discrimination and people's opinions here are really so strong that somebody could get hurt. I could get hurt just for being myself." This is Oregon. You think that the Pacific Northwest is so open-minded. Only half of them are. The other half are very, they stay away from society. Both Funk and Smith reported the parking lot and other incidents to the principal, who they said never took action. They were not surprised. The principal had once made a friend read the Bible as punishment for being bisexual. Quote, "When I told the principal that my civics teacher called me out in front of the whole class and said same-sex marriage was pretty much the same thing as marrying a dog, the principal told me everybody has the right to their own opinion." The next day, the teacher apologized, but as I walked away, he said, "Don't go marrying your dog." Well, that prick needs to be thrown out on his ass. By the way, if you're thinking I'm using prick a lot today, I am. Why? I don't know. But remember the censorship rules here at the Wake.Show? Radio rules plus shit. Radio rules plus shit. So I don't say anything on the radio or anything here that I wouldn't have said on the radio, except for shit. And yes, you can say prick on the radio. From the school year to the next, the incidents piled on. There was constant offensive comments and jokes, quote-unquote jokes, slurs both whispered and shouted. A time when Funk said she was pinned against a bathroom wall and called another slur. During Funk's junior year, she was physically attacked on a cement path near the school by two boys who were yelling slurs. One whacked her ankle with a skateboard, then used it to smash her right hand when she reached out to try to protect herself. She had to go to the doctor and get x-rays. Funk reported the incident to North Bend's high school resource officer. His response, she said, was stunning, but not surprising in hindsight. She goes to the school resource officer in America in 2016, 17. He said, if I'm going to be an open member of the LGBT community, that I should prepare for things like this. The officer said that being gay was a choice. Sorry, I don't know what happened, but my blood pressure has seemed to escalate. He said, a school resource officer there to protect children. No, he's not. The officer said that being gay was a choice, and it was against his religion. He said that he had homosexual friends, but because I was an open homosexual, I was going to hell. Oh, what a great adult you are. How do you feel now, adult? How do you feel if you take a teenage girl and play all high and mighty and superior and tell them they're going to hell? Coupled with the administrators who seemed to respond with the indifference, or worse, the aggression became too much to bear. Funk and Smith said they eventually were encouraged to file complaints with the Oregon Department of Education, a legal clinic run by students at the Willamette University College of Law in Salem, about 160 miles north of North Bend. In April, a law professor reached out. This just goes through. Here we go. In addition, the North Bend Police Department must... let's read about this. The law professor reached out to the ACLU of Oregon because it was one of the worst cases of discrimination at a school that she'd ever seen. Though its investigation took months, the state education department found substantial evidence of discrimination and other violations of state and federal law at North Bend High School. On Monday, the ACLU and the school district reached a settlement that dictated that Bill Lucero, principal of North Bend, would be removed from his job. Thank you for some justice, a little bit of justice. You know, these are kids, man. We did a story wasn't even a year ago, about a bus driver who did the same exact thing as a gay kid was trying to get on the bus. She had to sit there and tell them that they're going to hell and read them up and down. Welcome to America. Your freedom of religion. And so does everybody else. All right? Your freedom of religion, and so does everybody else. But I also have the freedom to express myself, Fish. I also have the freedom to speak. No, you don't. Not when you're in the high school system. And that goes from the kids to the student resource officer to the bus driver. Shut your effing mouth. Drive the bus. In addition, they also removed Jason Griggs, the school resource officer who told Funk she was going to hell for being gay. The North Bend School District also must remain under supervision of the Oregon Education Department for 5 years and work with the ACLU to develop policies and training to prevent future discrimination. It sends a clear message to everyone at the district. If you break the law by discriminating against LGBTQ students or engaging in religious proselytization, I'm gonna try this word again. Proselytization. It's an easy word to say when you're not looking at it. Proselytization. There we go. At school, there are serious consequences. And basically all that means is preaching. In a statement Monday, the district said it was pleased to have reached a resolution regarding Smith's and Funk's complaints. Quote, the district has been and will continue to be committed to improving its school environment for all students, including LGBTQ. As part of the settlement, the high school will create a committee on diversity and inclusion and also celebrate Coming Out Day, Ally Week, or is that Ally Week? Ally Week, and annual diversity. And they'll also have an annual diversity award. Neither Smith nor Funk requested monetary damages, but asked the school to donate $1,000 to the local LGBTQ support group, Q&A of Coos County. As word got out about Smith and Funk's case, more people, including North Bend students, alumni, parents, and staff, came forward with other allegations of discrimination. A transgender boy was refused permission to play on the boys' basketball team. One black student was forced to line up with his swim teammates from lightest to darkest skin color. Holy shit. What the Another black student, did you hear that? At this high school, for whatever reason, the students were forced to line up the swim team from lightest to darkest skin color. Another black student was regularly subjected to racial slurs and name-calling by his teammates, including the principal's son, over his repeated requests that they stop using a modification to the N-word as his nickname. An exchange student from Spain was awarded the Best Mexican Award by his swim team. And people, this is everywhere. This is still everywhere, okay? This isn't 1956. This is 2016, 17, 18. It's an Oregon state, and this kind of stuff is still very prevalent everywhere. Slowly but surely, things are normalizing, but it's still very frustrating and very saddening. I'm sorry that I'm not reading any of your comments today. For whatever reason, they're not popping up, and I'm sad. But here we go. I just got a couple more things. This has to do with PTSD. Wife apologized after a combat veteran husband nearly chokes a Hillsborough deputy to death. And the wife of a combat, and this is coming from WFLA.com. She says, I'm sorry. I'm thankful for their help, and I'm really sorry this happened to him. She knows, and one of the reasons I want to bring this up is because this is also something that is happening in the country. And that is spouses staying with their significant other, after they have come back from war, or there's some other event in their life where there's PTSD. And as a result of their PTSD, that a lot of times there's these mood swings. They get very angry and agitated. They're not the same, you hear over it, they're not the same person they were. Or I'm not the same person I was before I went overseas. But back here at home, you have some spouses say, I can't take this. I'm sorry. You need to get help. And you refuse to get help. You just keep drinking and getting angry and angrier. I have to leave. But there's also this woman and many, many others that stay. They know exactly what they're staying for. They know that it's not going to be easy. It's going to make me tear up, I think, a little. But they're not going to leave them. Even though they're not the person that they were. They are not the person that they fell in love with. I guess this is the way that I reconcile it, or I picture this. It's like when we have our servicemen and women go overseas and they don't come back the same, that's a sacrifice they've made for all of us, is the way I think we should look at it. And that's why we need to be much more passionate about taking care of our veterans when they come back. The brain is literally the most important thing in your body. There is nothing more important. Everything in your body, your heart, your lung, all that stuff is to move oxygen up here so your brain can do whatever the brain does. And yet, for some reason in our culture, the brain, it's almost like we're still in Egypt 5,000 years ago, and the brain is just a gray mass and means nothing. And everything that you do is your choice, which is another frustrating thing for loved ones when somebody comes back and they're not the same anymore, because they look the same. And at times, they even act the way you remember. So in those times that they are lashing out, that they're punching holes in walls or whatever, the people that don't understand look at that as a choice. They're choosing those actions in that moment. And they're not. So back to the story coming out of Tampa. She says she's very sorry. She felt so bad when it happened. I saw his face when he came out. It hurts my heart. I not only put myself in his family's shoes, but in his shoes, and I know he's hurting. The wife of a combat veteran, Randy Howard, explained that she called 911 last weekend after she and her husband began arguing during what she describes as a dangerous PTSD flashback. When help arrived, she says her husband, who is also the father of her 2 boys, put the deputy in a chokehold, nearly killing him. He also broke his nose. Deputy Feynman used every bit of tactical training he could, including deploying his taser, and he admits himself that he felt himself losing consciousness, which has to be a terrifying feeling. Nothing seemed to work. He had to fight his way out of a nearly fatal situation. Sergeant Jason Goff, a 20-year veteran with the agency, told us there is no such thing as a routine call and that every moment of law enforcement training is crucial. He was admittedly attacked unprovoked. You never know what you're going to walk into. Now, as a Marine, Howard did 3 tours of duty. Now, if you're looking at your screen, too, here's the officer's shirt, and you see all the blood stains, all the blood on the shirt there. Now, going back to this Marine, Howard did 3 tours of duty in the most deadly areas of the Middle East, including Ramadi and Fallujah. When the combat veteran came home, his wife says he was never the same. She just wants him to get help. With tears in her eyes, she told us, I'm not leaving him. This puts tears in my eyes. Because, well, I also know people in this situation, and I've gone back and forth in my head over the years. Because at times those relationships from the outside looking in seem quite abusive. But they know it, and they're not going to leave that person because they love him. She goes, I'm not leaving him. I'm going to be by his side. I told him I'll be by his side. I told him I'm not leaving you. I'm not abandoning you. The Marine is being held in the medical unit of Hillsborough County Jail, facing charges of battery on law enforcement officer and resisting arrest. Deputy Feynman has been with the agency since 2015, and the 30-year-old continues to recover at home. So what you know, I laid that out. What do you do in that situation? How do you see that? Do you go, I'm with them. I respect what some of these spouses are doing when they're staying with their husbands or wives that are coming back and have severe PTSD, and it can be scary. Because on one hand, but I feel like there's a line, you know, there's a point, and I guess that's a place that's different for each person. But we can only take so much. All right, as humans, you can only take so much. And a good example of that is the person that you're standing by their side. They could only take so much. And look what happened to them. So, man, I can't say anything. I can't have an opinion on this, I don't think. I think it's a to each his own, case by case. You love that person, and you know they're not the same person they were, and you know they will never be the same person, but you stay there for them. That's amazing to me. That's just amazing. And good on you. And I hope that you have good emotional support around you. You have friends and family that you can turn to, because that could become super abusive and toxic very quickly. And you do. You're still human. No matter how much you love that person, you're still... You still have a breaking point yourself. So make sure that you have the right support system around you. Maybe that's the advice then. Maybe that's the advice. If you are somebody who's going to stay in that situation because this person served our country, they sacrificed, and they need somebody there for them, man, it's amazing. It's beautiful. Making me cry. But make sure that you have the support you need. Okay? Next. Well, I think we hit everything in this female pilot thing. I already got the pilot thing. What happened? I had a very feel-good story that was supposed to end everything, and it has disappeared. I guess there wasn't supposed to be any feel-good stories. It was a story about a town here in America that takes care of each other. They have like I don't know. They wrote a book, not a book, a handbook on how town residents should treat each other. Everything from, just basically helping each other. Whatever. I'm not even going to bother you with it. So thank you so much for being a part of even if you're still there, because I can't tell. Thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show. Obviously, I owe you some money because this was a therapy session for me today, so I don't know how much to charge. But I owe you a couple of dollars for listening to my my sniffling. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Not working tonight, not doing karaoke tonight, taking the night off, going to enjoy the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hopefully our bolts will be much more graceful on the ice this evening. And this time, guys, I don't know much about hockey. I'm not trying to be your coach or anything. But after that last game, I'm thinking if when you see somebody with a Capitals jersey on coming at you at 40 miles an hour, get out of the way. Our boys got manhandled last game. So thank you so much for being here. Have a great day. Take care of yourself. Be kind to the people around you. And be the change you want to see in the world. Don't expect everybody else around you to you do it first. Be the change you want to see in the world. And most importantly, let your crazy breathe just a little. Have a great day.